This is the Commerce Show. The Commerce Show. Wait, Comrade Lante Oriake. Live on Facebook and YouTube. Like us, follow us, and be the first to know. This is the Commerce Show. The Commerce Show. Wait, Comrade Lante Oriake. Live on Facebook and YouTube. Like us, follow us, and be the first to know. This is the Commerce Show. The Commerce Show. Wait, Comrade Lante Oriake. Live on Facebook and YouTube. Like us, follow us, and be the first to know. This is the Commerce Show. The Commerce Show. Wait, Comrade Lante Oriake. Live on Facebook and YouTube. Like us, follow us, and be the first to know. This is the Commerce Show. The Commerce Show. Wait, Comrade Lante Oriake. Live on Facebook and YouTube.
Yes. Very good day, good evening, good morning. Top of the moment to you, depending on where you're joining me from. Where I am is quite late at night, but I'm really poised to doing this video tonight. I want to thank everybody. Please, if you are joining me, help share this broadcast. I already see my brother Austin Iremiran and Patience Irabo watching. So this is love. Please share the broadcast. Let's get some numbers together. Still on the artifacts, but this broadcast is not really about the development in Edo State per se, but something that I was definitely moved to go into. In the course of all that has been developing in the last few days, I took some time to try to do some research into the issues of artifacts, and my findings, to be very honest, are quite stunning. And I thought that I'm still doing my research as much as possible, but I think that for every Nigerian, for every Edo person, the much that we know about this, the better for us. Because personally, I'm very stunned, and my findings, it's a lot making me, understand more the position of the palace of Benin. Understand more, the position of the Oba of Benin. But it's what I've been able to find out so far. To be honest, is revealing, and I really do think that there must be a different posture that we must take concerning the issue of Benin artifacts. But I'd like to first of all establish that records have it that African artifacts, scattered all over the world, around the Western museums across the world. Okay, they are running into hundreds of thousands, and it's immediately, my findings immediately give me, the understanding that apart from Benin artifacts, across global museums, we equally have African artifacts. As a matter of fact, you know, my findings test me by my own assumption, having quite looked at some of these things, that this issue of our heritage, these artifacts, may actually be one of the major reasons why colonization, took the shape it did with Africa. It's major reason why, the colonial masters ventured and ensured that they had territories and colonies in Africa. To be very candid, I came to find out that, in fact, the Benin expedition and, of course, the invasion of 1897, it was actually one of the last phases, of such. The different territories in Africa, had been a subject of interest, conquered, territories destroyed, things looted across different parts of Africa. And today, as we speak, apart from Benin Kingdom, there are so many other, countries that are fighting for the repatriation of their artifacts across various museums. You'll be surprised to note that the Musée Royal de l'Afrique Centrale in Belgium, a museum in Belgium, is housing 180,000 artifacts, okay, from Africa. 180,000. Humboldt Forum, Germany, is housing 75,000, artifacts from Africa. Musée de Quai Branly Jacques Chirac, France, 70,000. British Museum is having around 70,000 as well. African arts and stuff like that. We equally have Wet Museum of Vienna, about 37,000, artifacts taken from the shores of Africa. From Benin, we estimate that about 3,000 artifacts or more were taken from Benin Kingdom. Meanwhile, the Republic of Benin, as we speak, they are still struggling, to get about 5,000 artifacts taken from Republic of Benin, And when I was looking at some pictures of the Benin Republic artifacts, I was seeing very close similitude between those artworks and, of course, our Benin works. And again, this further gave me a very strong impression that sorry, I think I thought I think I had some interruptions. Okay, I'm back. I thought I had some technical interruptions there. So, like I was saying, there's a point I want to drive at with this broadcast. It's going to be as short as can possibly be, and all that. I started looking at pictures of Benin works, Benin artifacts in across various museums, and the stories that these works, some of the ones I saw, the stories I could actually interpret some of them. Look at the stories, it's further made me understand that a lot of who we are, our history, are actually documented in these artworks. A lot of our history, the way we lived, the things we did at the time, how life was, our relationship with the palace, the people's relationship with the palace, the interaction of the people of Benin with other kingdoms. A lot, have been documented in these works. And just like the Oba, of course, in one of his meetings, did say, I began to see some of those things, that these works, these artifacts in foreign museums, I am sure that there are some of them that would actually be for aesthetic purpose, and of course there are quite some others that would be for spiritual and religious purpose, as it were, and other. But they all have their very wonderful and unique stories, wonderful stories. Don't forget, the Benin expedition was in 1897. But before the Benin expedition, okay, I mean, sorry, before the Benin invasion in 1897, there had been series of invasion across Africa, not just by the British alone, by the French, by the Belgians, okay, across different parts of Africa. It was like at the time, in fact, that particular decade was a decade of huge torment, a decade where Africa's identity was majorly stolen, because the identity, of Africa, is hugely embedded in a lot of these artifacts. For instance, I did read about, the bloody, invasion, by the French of the Sego Royal Palace, Sego Royal Palace, Sego Royal, Palace, the capital of, they call it, well, I may not be pronouncing it very correctly, Tecular Empire, and the Tecular Empire spanned the modern day Guinea, Senegal, and Mali. There was a siege on this empire. They brought down the empire, took away everything, and of course brought this particular region under colonial rule by the French people. It was a violent siege. People were killed. A lot was stolen. You understand what I'm saying? The city of Ozebogu in 1890, the capture of that city, the stolen artifact running into tens of thousands and all of that, including, a very important, what's it called? You can call it a scepter, a royal sword, of the founder of the empire, Erhard Omar Tali, Erhard Omar Tal, and all of that. He was dethroned, and all these things were taken away. Till today, the people of that region, they are still asking for their artifacts to be returned. The same way with Ethiopia. There were artifacts stolen from Ethiopia that today are still being asked, to be returned. You understand? This is the image I'm going to show you right now is that of El Hajj Omar, and that is the royal sword you see right there. That is God. This is the royal sword, and all that. That's from that region. This particular artifact I'm going to show you right now, this one is said to be from Ethiopia. It's in Europe museums, and the people are asking that these artifacts should be brought. Okay, this is a Benin artwork. This one is in London. It's in the British Museum, one of those stolen. When you look at this work I'm looking at right now, you see that there's a story behind this work. Easily tells you, for instance, that is an Oba, and of course those are two, both left and right there, are what's it called, aids, of the Oba, the way the Oba was held at the time. These are stories embedded in these works and all that. This one I'm going to show you right now. This particular work I'm going to show you right now. This one is from Benin Republic. If you look at this work, they call this work anthropomorphic. That is half human, half animal. Today they are still asking that this work be returned. I think this work right now is one of the French museums and all of that. The people are still, struggling, doing everything to ensure that these things get returned, as it were. The same story cut across Africa. One notable one did definitely catch my attention. And this one caught my attention because we already have a story, some sort of conflicting story, because there's a Yoruba version of the Oduduwa story, and there's a Benin faction, and the Benin faction look more plausible, okay? And yet we have, certain, artworks, okay, that could actually lay the story or give strong confirmation, for that particular story. I did come across this work, that was labeled Oduduwa Head, a bronze work, okay, carved by the Benin's, done by the Edo people, okay, Oduduwa. Remember the story of, this Oduduwa in relation to the Benin's and all of that. And I find it quite captivating that how many works, do we still have right there that have been stolen that could actually give us a vivid impression of, if you look at this work right now, there are three. I'm not talking of the one in the middle right now. I'm just talking of the one by I think the other one, the one of the works, the bigger one in the middle right there, looks pretty much like a Benin king, okay, and all of that. But the other one by the side there, they label it Oduduwa Head. So if the Benin did this at the time, this must have been probably in the time of Obaiweka the first, okay, when Oromia having come, or Mononia having come back, from exile. You understand what I'm saying now? Because at the time we're talking about in history, this artwork, okay, they were not done for commercial purpose. They were done, to praise, the palace, to document the history, to pay obeisance, to the obas at the time. And so a lot of our stories are embedded in this artwork, as it were, and today these things have been stolen. Okay, they were not just, stealing them as it is it's something that has, by the what I'm looking at currently, something that has led to, some sort of a missing identity, a huge part of us, a huge part of our identity taken away from us, a big chunk of our story stolen from us, to the extent that, for the last 120, 25 to 230 years, okay, we are yet to truly, fully be who we are as a people. This is what this story tells me. I have been looking at a lot of this. This is in British Museum, for instance. Each of these masks or these carvings you're seeing right now, okay, whether they are bronze or wood, as it were, this is British Museum. Each of them has a story, a unique story, uniquely different from each other. This is Benin artwork. These stories behind these works corroborate a lot of the oral stories we've heard, okay? And these works, all these works needed to do was just to, kind of consolidate, you understand what I'm saying, some of the stories we've heard, and how life was, some of those exploits of our great obas and all of that. Many of them are built into these works. Many of them, because we imagine Queen Idia, the what's it called, Queen Idia mask. I mean, how long that would have been. You understand what I'm saying? We are told in history that Oba Ewai the Great, conquered more than 201 towns and villages in the time of Benin exploit. We are told in history that Oba Ozolwa conquered over 200 towns and villages. The same with so many Obas, conquered far and wide. And this conquest by these Obas, okay, had documentations by our artists, the Benin royal artists, okay. The life of the palace, the life of Benin at the time, we didn't write, like the Egyptians had, started, the art of writing, okay. But our writing was not just in documentation in stories, but our own history, tradition, everything they were documented in these works. Okay, now taking these works from us, meant that a lot about us had been taken away from us. Where am I driving to? Where I'm driving to is that the struggle to get the Benin artwork back started by, our Obas, the palace, many years ago. It's not just a struggle for the palace alone, or for the government of Edo State alone, or for the federal government of Nigeria. It must be a struggle for every Edo person. And it cannot be a struggle for every Edo person if we do not understand the stories behind this. As I looked at these works, as I've been, my research continues. This is just a part one. I'm just trying to lay a foundation for why, beyond the present, squabbles and comment everybody are making, there's a lot that we need to do, and again, to further buttress the point that we must stay united as a people, because at the end of the day, the glory of our Edones may not, fully come to realization until we reconcile Edo with these stolen artifacts. It's that important. It's that important. Until we reconcile our own Edones with this stolen artifact. It's like a missing piece. It's like a missing part of a puzzle. That is what these artifacts represent. And so my research further make me understand the tenacity of the palace over the issues of these artifacts and the conventions. And it's so sad. You are stolen from some people at a time where they were incapacitated to fight you, okay, toe to toe, as it were. Now, at the time they now got to a point where, yes, they can actually stand toe to toe, you have made laws to put conditions upon which these artifacts can be returned to their people. I'm not just talking about the Benin artifact alone. All the other nations of Africa, from Ethiopia to Guinea to Senegal to Mali, okay, the artifacts stolen from them. Now there are now conventions, books, theories. There have been instances where they had to borrow an artifact belonging to the people. They borrow it to them at some price for some period of time, then they take it back. It's their property, for crying out loud. In some other environment, okay, they negotiate as, okay, they will come and do this museum, put these artifacts there, but these artifacts will still be yielding money to them. They are the people's work, the people's sweat. The European, expedition of the African territory in these times, they were not just for anything. As a matter of fact, today, people were being reminded again, oh, Obaseki the ancestor did this, Obaseki the ancestor did that. To be very honest, without Obaseki the ancestor doing anything, without, the story about the British diplomat that were trying to force their way into the kingdom, and, they were resisted, and they were killed, by, by the Benin military, because at the time, the Oba was fasting, and the Oba could not see visitor, and they insisted, all that story. I am very sure that even if all that did not happen, this people's expedition of this kingdom, of this area, was ultimately going to lead to stealing these artifacts. The British expedition of our own territory at the time it did was not because of any interest, was not because of they wanted to establish any trade ties with the Benin people. They were set on ensuring that they do everything possible to export and take over our artifacts, take them away. They were meant to do that. It was not by accident, because we had our own matter invasion in 1897. By 1890, areas around Senegal, Guinea, Mali were already being invaded, artwork stolen, and the stories had gone down. Belgians have taken their own. The Germans are taking their own. Everybody. So it was like, it was like what was in vogue at the time. Like, man, Africa, these people, who are these people? Let's understand them more. Let's go and take these things from them. So if that story did not happen, it is very likely that something would have happened to make these people still make away with these artifacts. Because that's what they came for. That's what they came for. So, but all that is history right now. It's a painful one, to be very honest. But right now, we've come to this stage where life is a bit more advanced now. We've come to this stage where we now understand better. Okay? We now understand better. So the pressure, okay, must be, to ensure that these artifacts, Benin artifacts like everywhere in the world, okay, must not be let for. I've read some materials. I honestly will salute, what's it called? There are different palace groups that have been doing a lot to ensure that these works return, and I must salute the Benin Dialogue Group. I've seen them in several materials, and the effort they've been making. For the Palace of the Oba Benin, in some text they call the palace the Royal Court of Benin, and all of that, for the effort so far. But I will say really that we all have some small roles to play. Today, I read the news today. I've not really digested that news, that the International Court of Justice is now considering a petition by the Biafra people against the government of Nigeria. Now, why is that? It's because the Biafra people have been persistent. Their persistence and their push, okay, if the story is true, it means their persistence and their push has led to this. And that is a milestone in itself, for their petition to be considered by the International Criminal Court of Justice. That is a milestone. It's because they are pushing, they are persistent. And I think that's what we should do. We as Edo people, not just Edo people, we as Nigerians, we must push for every piece of work taken from our kingdom, not just Benin Kingdom, every other aspect of Nigeria, they need to be returned. Because there's a huge spiritual, reconciliation between who we are and these works taken away from us. This is British Museum. What you see here, I'm showing you right now, they are Benin works, artifacts from Benin Kingdom. This museum costs not less than £20 to go in and see. So for 120 years, our own work, okay, the work of the sweat and blood of our ancestors is yielding money to some uncircumcised people. Meanwhile, a huge aspect of identity is what is giving them this opportunity. So rather than all stay at home and fight and get divided and get this, I think that we need to reconcile and forge one strong voice. I'm glad, in the meeting they held in Germany, I understand that I was I read somewhere that Lai Mohammed, stated that the return of these works must be unconditional in Germany, and I think that's how it should be. I think that's how it should be, not just in Germany. That's how it should be in New York. That's how it should be in London. That's how it should be everywhere. We've got over 3,000, artifacts of Benin Kingdom everywhere. And when that push is on, we must find a way as government, as people, to join forces with those who are doing it in Mali, those who are doing it in Senegal, those who are doing it in Guinea, those who are doing it in Ethiopia, so that it will be what are we talking about? Hundreds of thousands of works, identities of people. Just some within the last few years, I read that this Sabe was returned, to the people of this Senegal or so, and all of that. This is like a scepter at the time. Okay, this Hajj Omar that was dethroned, and of course the Sabbath taken from him, and all of that, and so many works taken, and it was returned, and all that. So all of that, okay, in 2014, this was returned to Benin. This was returned to Benin. That's Prince Dun Akinzua there, and of course with Mark Walker, you understand, returning 2 pieces of artifacts, belong to Benin people, part of those stolen from Benin Kingdom. Okay, you can see the image there, and try to make it bolder. Okay, that's it. You understand? These ones were returned 2005, but no, it's not gone far enough. But we are glad that at least effort is being made to get some of these things down. And these efforts, they've not been isolated because people have been working to push for it. So I came out this night to say, as I'm reading, studying these things, I am, to be very, very honest, hugely impacted. Having to embrace this reality even a bit more, that a part of me, a part of who we are, is just somewhere lying in some people's edifice they call museum, making money for them, and they don't understand that some of these things have their own spiritual essence, connected to who we are as a people. These are works from Africa. You can see the Indian mask right there. You can see the Oduduwa head, bronze head there. Some of that was from Africa. There's this work there too from Benin Republic. When I compare some of the works of Benin Republic and that of Benin Kingdom, it showed to me that there's a relationship between the Benins and the Benin Republicans, as it were, if I may call them that. So when the history did tell us that we founded Benin Republic and that they trace their roots to us, it's clear, because at the end of the day, you can see artistic trace, you can see some semblance of our own artwork and theirs. So all of these things corroborates, complete the story, some of the stories we have been told that have been passed on from generation to generation. Unless and until we get all of these artworks back, some stories we are told will never be complete. So Edo people and Nigerians across the world, honestly, there's a lot of work to be done, and we cannot afford to be divided. Some people are still creating space for division, making messages and doing this and doing that. Please, my people, I honestly beg, this is more than any individual. This is more. We cannot be sentimental about it. Everybody who is stakeholder, directly and indirectly, must understand that there is a missing puzzle in all of this that connects us to who we are. This is probably why, as a people, we have not advanced beyond the level that we are. This is probably why, as a people, we've not been able to find our own footing in the scheme of things as far as this world is concerned. A lot needs to be done. A lot needs to be done. A lot needs to be done. Anyway, it's just part one. I will find out a lot more about these, and by the grace of God, I will do another broadcast to talk to us more about this. But I actually want to establish that, there's a lot more into this than meets the eyes, and we cannot afford to stay disunited. I want to appeal to all of us, and I want to salute, the tenacity of the palace of the Oba of Benin. I want to salute everybody, every stakeholder has been working very hard to get these things done, and I want to pray and hope that God Almighty, we provide the enabling grace between the government of the state, the palace, and the federal government of Nigeria. And the reason why I say this is this. I did talk about conventions, about laws that have been established, okay, to say that these works, okay, first they must be able to identify, what belongs to who, because the artworks are many. Then once they are able to identify and they take note of those ones which they have sorted majorly, now there are a different process altogether of repatriating these works. Okay, they no longer deal with the communities they took this artwork from directly, to repatriate directly and all of that. They want to deal with government. There are some established conventions and norms now, say okay, they want to do this one. And besides, what is even most intriguing is their willingness, okay, to spend money. You understand what I'm saying? To arrange to say, okay, we spend money, build museum, do this, put these things in there in the museum, then they will still have a stake in the matter. And meanwhile, it looks like we are not arguing to say, for 125 years, you have been making monies from this. How much of the monies you made from this are you willing to repatriate alongside the artwork? Because you stole from us, and what you stole from us, you have made billions from it. In some cases, you want to equally rent the work back to the people you stole from. You rent it out to them for a given period of time. Then later you take it back. Man, the whole thing is really, really appalling. Appalling. Then in some other instances, they want to come and build one museum, put these things there. They will still have a stake in that museum, so it gets as it be. I really hope that we can get this thing to a proper finish line so that everybody will rest. The ancestors, okay, they themselves will rest or whatever they did. But this puzzle is got to be reconciled with. It's got to be reconciled with. Not just, this is not peculiar to Benin. This is Africa. This is Africa. Anyhow, Edo people, I want to thank you guys for watching. I'm not speaking about anything controversial, but to call for the unity of our people, to see that there's a bigger picture in this matter, a bigger picture that must involve all of us. And hopefully, when not just the ones that Germany is trying to bring to us now, or maybe France later, Britain has to bring the ones they have. We have some in some museums, even in America. When you have here, it's important. If whatever, however, the palace and the government now reconcile to get these things done, okay, what should be for aesthetic purpose should be defined for aesthetic purpose. What should go and satisfy, spiritual, necessity should go and satisfy spiritual necessity. Everything must work together for us to get everything back. But if you are a Benin man, an Edo person, believe me, and you think you are whole, to be honest, there is a missing puzzle. And the missing puzzle about who we are, okay, lie in some of these works. And that is the truth. So, gentlemen and ladies, let us stay united. Let us chase a better and a stronger front. So at the end of the day, yes, we shall we shall be fulfilled that yes, we've gotten everything back. On that note, I want to say a very big thank you. I want to thank everybody. Osazuwa Omere, thank you so very much. I know you're watching. Today is your birthday. Are you my lad of it? We are not like that. I wish you happy birthday, my brother. I hope you had a very wonderful day today. God bless you, my friend, my brother. Yes, Ivy Milagro, I see you. Luciana Rebecca, I see you. Luciana, I don't know whether you are Nigerian or whether you are a Benin person. Jose Lu, you may be Spanish in but I see you though. Saint Freedom, I see you. My sister Evelyn Ogbevon, thank you so very much. Brother Nicholas, God bless you, my brother. My brother Austin Remiran, the musketeer of the Comrade Show, and my big sister, Patience Oraboy. I see you guys. Sources Love, thank you so very much for watching. Thank you. You guys on YouTube, I equally see you. Thank you so much for being part of it. We are all in this together. I came to talk about this because there's a bigger picture in it that is beyond all the debates we'll be having, all the discussion we'll be having. And that bigger picture, we must find our own space within it. Etizia Plato, Agmoima, thank you so very much. God bless you for being part of this. Thank you so much. So guys, I'll see you hopefully tomorrow. Have a beautiful night. I saw my video now. And yes, bye for now.
Like us, follow us, and be the first to know. This is the Comrade Show. The Comrade Show with Comrade London, live on Facebook and